Alright, new character, so you know what that means. It's time to see what they've landed on the tier list. And can I just say real quick what the hell happened at the tier list? Okay, this is just tier 0 here I'm showing you. You see over here where trivia is, so there's only one character. You see all these supports over, or sustains over here, there's only 2 characters. Like, that used to be like this for the entire slot for all of tier 0. Now it's like a catalog of the newest releases, all just for tier 0. I'm not even showing you any of these other spots over here. Wait, a glad drop down? Anyways, Cerydra, the reason why we're here. Some people are upset about this character because they feel like it's a shill character for Finan. And that's because she is, but she technically can work with other characters. But let's get into this because she actually has more going on than what meets the eye. However, the memes are funny. She basically is a shill character for Finan. The synergies with him are better than anybody else. We're going to be going over, of course, the light cones and such because there's not a lot of great options for free to play, but there is a special event light cone out right now. Go get it. I highly suggest you do. This is the best free to play option right now without having to get a signature, or you could obviously use Planetary Rendezvous here, but that's not what you want to do. You want to get this event light cone. Hopefully this event light cone eventually comes through the Herda shop like we've seen other ones do. We'll also be going over the team. Just kidding. We are going to be going over the different best teams that she has out right now. I have a feeling that she's going to be getting more down the line. She might be similar to Finan, how Finan didn't get like a plethora of characters that he was really good with on release. He did have some, but he basically got better over time. I have a feeling that might be the case for Cerydra, but because of how she is built and because of how her kit works, she's basically always going to be in some way, shape, or form niche. Now, with Eidolons, she, may be able to be more of a DPS, and that might be kind of cool, but that's not for everybody, right? But let's stop dilly-dallying and get into some of what I'm talking about here within her kit and why she's kind of niche, why she's kind of cool in some ways, etc., as well as some thresholds you're going to want to be able to meet in order to properly make her work before we get into her light cone situations and her teams, etc., and some of the other nuances with her. Now let's just get this out of the way with her first major trace here. For every 100 of Cerydra's attack that exceeds 2,000, it increases her crit damage by 18%, up to a maximum increase of 360. So basically, you're going to need to get 4,000 attack in order to be able to max this out. This is also something you're going to want to do anyway because everything off of her buffs scales off of her attack. In fact, you're going to want to put an attack body on her too. That's how important the attack is for her. So this just kind of works hand in hand for her. But this particular buff only actually affects the crit damage that she ends up getting, which, as you may understand, she basically ends up giving to Finan later if you're using a Finan team. So she's this weird character that, can buff other characters, but at the same time also buffs herself, and because of characters like Finan, who will basically take that buff later when he goes into his special enhanced state, well, she's kind of clunky on a lot of other teams, but on a Finan team where she buffs him and then also inadvertently buffs him off of the buffs that she gives to herself, it's kind of like a double whammy for a guy like Finan. In fact, take a look at this other trace right here. It increases Cerydra's crit rate by 100%. While Cerydra's charge is below its maximum, the character with military merit using their ultimate grants Cerydra 1 charge. This effect can trigger once per battle. When using her skill, it increases the speed by 20 for this unit and the teammate with military merit, lasting for 3 turns. And when the character with military merit uses their basic attack skill, they generate 5 energy for Cerydra. Now, obviously that's all important and everything, but I wanted to talk about the 20 speed because a lot of people don't necessarily realize that because of her technique, you're going to get that 20 speed right away. So, i.e., Cerydra gives herself 20 speed, so when you're building her, you can build her for 140 speed, which is not too hard to hit, and then now you have a 160 speed support really easily. Now, let's talk about her light cone situation, because it's unfortunate. Okay, so you have here her signature, of course, it's going to work very well with her, duh. You have Robin's cone, just a great cone overall, and it works really well with Cerydra. Now, you also have the special event light cone. Again, highly suggest you get this. Pay attention, okay? Listen, okay? Pucker up, boy. This is the light cone to get, okay? You don't really need anything besides this. Sure, her signature could be cool, but this is free. It's from the event. Just go play the event, get it. It's good, okay? I believe we had a very similar situation with Robin, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was some form of a really easy to get free to play light cone for her as well, and everyone's probably still using that to this day unless you got her signature, which is a big boost, but you don't necessarily need it. This is free, very easy to get. Otherwise, if you don't get it, you may have noticed there's not a lot of other options for pretty much anyone unless you are pulling a SIG. And now you do have Planetary Rendezvous, but again, that's not the ideal cone for her. Now, as far as building her is concerned, they're going to take a look at some relics here. You have Cerydra. The 4-piece is amazing on her, right? But let's be real here, not everybody. You're using this on a lot of different characters, let's be honest here, right? So a lot of us do the whole flex situation. 2-piece is our friend out here, okay? Because substats are more important than anything else. Even more than the 4-piece bonus, okay? Now, let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. There is one set here that I notice is not here for some reason, but I'll pop it on screen real quick. I'll have to go into the game and maybe just like show it real quick. I forget the name of it, but it's the new night one that gives... It's for the 6%, right? That's why you're using Cerydra here for the 6%, right? That's why you're using Hackerspace. It's for the 6% because you're doing a 2-piece. Now, the Prisoners and the Musketeer, that's for attack. If you wanted to boost her attack, this will improve the buffs that she gets. But if you really needed to hit a speed threshold, you could use like 2-piece of a 6-speed bonus in order to help you get there. But because you only have to get to 140 speed on her in order to be able to get the buffs off of her that you need, as you see here, they'll even mention 140 speed becomes 160 plus in combat, again, because she gives herself 20 speed right at the beginning of combat, and it's very easy to keep up. It's basically like the Ting Yun buff. Make sure it doesn't fall off after 3 turns. No, she's a support, right? So you could run Eagle on her, but just be aware, like, I worry about people that use Eagle that don't that are new to the game or something like that, and then they go back and they farm Eagle, hearing all these great things about Eagle and don't necessarily know how to use it very well. But just be aware this is a good set for her if you wanted to use it, but if you're newer to the game, something like that, you'd have to go back to farm this, and it's not the best utilization of like your stamina, I guess you could say. I'd probably just stick to some of these newer sets that are more universal across more characters like in the game, right? Now let's talk about the Planars, okay? Lushasa, or Lush, aka the Sunken Seas. Anyways, this is her best set, right? It has the energy regen, and it also gives the 12% attack to the first character in the line. You're basically giving Fine and 12% attack, okay? Now, this one's pretty nice because you do have Fleet of the Ageless here, which actually gives 8% to the whole team. You'll notice it's not as good of a buff, but it is team-wide. However, you probably noticed that Cerydra doesn't usually hang out on like dual DPS teams, so that is unfortunately not the best combo for her. Broken Keel is going to still be pretty good. Penacony Land of Dreams is good, except for the fact that this this damage bonus is good. This is actually technically better than Lakshasa, I think, in many cases. However, it's locked behind having to have the exact same damage type as the character that you're going to be buffing. So yeah, like that kind of stinks. All right, now let's go for some stats here. So for the main body, attack, obviously, everything is scaling off of her attack, right? So give her some speed boots if you need to get her to 140 in order to get her 160 in combat. But if you can do that on subsets alone, obviously drop some attack boots on her, boy. You're going to have a crazy build. And obviously the attack planar, and she is a support character. Give her the energy regen rope so that she can keep that ult up. And then, you might have to use attack on day 1. It is what it is, but try to get that energy regen rope on her. Now, speed until you can get her to a good threshold for speed with substats, and then basically everything into attack and defensive stats. Now, I'm not going to say for the 1000th time, you know how much speed she needs, but make sure she has 4000 attack. That is a must in case you missed that from earlier, because that's how she gets the most out of her crit damage buff. All right, now for the team. All right, jokes aside, Archer you see him here. I just want to talk about this real quick, is not going to be the best choice for like Cerydra per se, right? Basically what I'm saying is Cerydra is not actually the best choice for Archer. You're going to see Sparkle is obviously the best choice for him. Now you can use her with him. There is some synergy there, right? But it's not necessarily the best move to make. It's not necessarily your best overall team damage option throwing her in there. Now, I do want to point out Anaxa, though, is a really sweet option and has a really, really sweet synergy. Now, I want to use their words here because I'm probably going to try to say it like an idiot, and they already have a nicely, eloquently written paragraph here. Anaxa can use his skill twice per turn, which allows him to stack charges for Cerydra very quickly. Cerydra skill duplication allows Anaxa to use his skill back-to-back twice, which can then be followed by his talent twice for a total of 4 skills in one shot. Like Finan, Cerydra's speed buff can also allow Anaxa to run attack boots over speed boots, which should be pursued with caution, as when running the combo alongside an action advancer, you may run into uptime issues, etc., etc. But that is a pretty sweet combo right there. Now the obvious, right? The elephant in the room here, Finan. Okay, we got the Sunday, we got the Cerydra, and we got the Bronya being the better choice out of this filler, like, amplifier, like, last slot you see they're like doing musical chairs over here. But they're prioritizing Bronya, and it is the better choice, especially many of you probably have her signature by now. Many of you probably have like an Eidolon for her or more by now, right? Robin is a great choice as well, especially if you have her E1. But at like, these are all measured off of E0S0, and Bronya is still the best even at E0S0, even without her sig. And then you have Bronya and Trailblazer. They're great options too. Don't get it twisted. Great choices. Even you don't see Ron May here, but that's also a good choice as well if you have to do something more budget. All right, so I want to point out that this character is very, very strong, but she is very, very niche. She's pretty much locked to Finan, maybe a little bit of Anaxa, and then, you know, some Archer, right? Maybe somebody else will come down the line that she works very well with, but we don't know that for sure at this time. We know for sure that this was an intended combo to work very well with her and Finan, but is that going to work very well long-term into 4.0 plus? Because if that ever happens, if this combo doesn't cut it for you, if you're not clearing endgame at some point with this combo, then Cerydra completely falls apart. Her value completely nosedives because this is the best combo she has right now. And we don't know if we're going to be getting another one. So she basically becomes a useless character someday if they ever make the combo too weak to work in endgame. But Finan has hope still if he doesn't have Cerydra. There are other characters that he can use. The same isn't to be said for Cerydra necessarily. Now that being said, I mean, sometimes that doesn't matter to people, right? Look at DOT. I loved it. How many of you played DOT? This is like the most fun archetype pretty much in the entire game. I can't even speak correctly because it's so cool, right? And what if that's Cerydra, right? What if that's Cerydra for you? What if you love that so much that you want to do that all the time, right? So don't feel like I'm trying to tell you not to pull the character. I'm just telling you, be warned and be wise. It may not be the most value pick for your account. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, let me know if you're pulling this character, if you're excited about them, pulling, skipping. Let me know if you're skipping Evernight for the same reasons of it being a niche situation, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.